He's out there as driver. Sends it in. Hextall can't get to it. Johnson steals the pass in front. The shot saved by Hextall. Sundstrom on the rebound. They score. Jim Korn fires it in on the third try. And the Devils score to make it 1-0. Here's Aaron Broughton with a puck for New Jersey. Cuts in. Looks for Muller. He scores. Kirk Muller. Sends it ahead to Pat Verbeek. By rookie Greg Smith. Smith takes it down, and he's going to go for the penalty, holding to Smith of Philadelphia. The Devils will have the power play. They've got a 2-0 lead.
Well, you can hear the boos ringing out here in the Spectrum. There is an irate Ron Hextall, but he shouldn't be. He was just assessed, as we left you, a 10-minute misconduct for coming out and really pursuing referee Don Koharski a little too vigorously when he argued the holding call on Greg Smith, Rick. And that was a good call he made on Greg Smith. Smith grabbed the back of Verbeek's jersey, and if it had been a tearaway, he would have had a handful of sweater in his glove. Hextall came running out after Koharski. You don't mess with Koho. He just gave him a quick 10. Going to try and show you the penalty that started it all. Verbeek comes down. Watch how he gets jammed out and then does a spinorama here. He'll do a 360 and continue. That's what makes Pat Verbeek so successful. He just bounded off the boards and got around Smith, and if we'd let that go a couple more seconds, you would have seen the hold. That wasn't the penalty. He grabbed hold of his sweater as Verbeek continued to skate by him.
After Koharski had indicated the 10-minute misconduct against Hextall, he continued to scream at Koharski, and at one point he signaled to him to get out of here. I don't know if he's kicked him out or not. We'll see. Poulin's discussing the situation. He has been tossed from the game. Ron Hextall storms off to the dressing room. He's been assessed a game misconduct as well. And now Mark LaForest, the 25-year-old netminder acquired from the Red Wings in the offseason. There's our camera in the Flyer dressing room, and he makes it easy for the Flyers defensively. If they can stand up at that blue line, they can hold off the opposition fairly consistently. How? Sends the puck ahead to Poulin. He cuts in short-handed. Dave Poulin shoots, scores!
Here's that pass. It's kind of a suicide pass, though. Mellanby not only was looking back for it, but it was in his skates. I mean, that's when you go to the bench and say, you lean down to the end where the defensemen are sitting and say, yo, guys, you might not want to pass it to me. You know what happens in that play.
8 minutes remaining here in the first period. New Jersey leads 2-1. Eklund walks in front, gives it to Samuelson. He scores! Kjell Samuelson has tied it on the power play. Crossman backhands it by Danico down the ice. We'll have an icing called against the Flyers with Cirella back. 5:12 to go, first period. The Flyers and Devils are tied at 2. From Chicago, played for Carpenter in the minor leagues. Sundstrom maneuvers it into Perry Anderson. Shooting, he scores! Perry Anderson drilled it by LaForest, and New Jersey is back in front. It's picked up by Prop, back to Eklund. Backhands in front, they score! Rick Tocchet. 10-10 of the period. Many on these power play opportunities. Crossman's drive is blocked by Loisel. Chevrier struggles to get out, poke it away, manages to recover his net again. The penalty's over. Crossman shoots, they score! It was tipped in front, I believe, by Brown, and the Flyers lead 4-3.
Well, Craig Wolanin was giving Dave Brown a pretty rough ride in front, but he never did move him out of the way, Rick. He was jamming him from behind, cross-checking him from behind. 3 Devils go out to try and block the shot. There's Wolanin one more time giving it to Brown from behind, but he gets the deflection right between Chevrier's legs.
Kirk Muller sends it out to the point. The Flyers are back to full strength. The shot is blocked. Kerber finds Verbeek. He shoots. He scores!
Don Koharski has called Pat Verbeek for slashing, and this is a terrible call. Doug Crossman had Pat Verbeek's stick in his hand and would not let go for at least 10 seconds. At least 10 seconds. Watch. This is the tail end of it. Look at Verbeek trying to get his stick away. Now he tries to punch, kick. Crossman still got his stick. Finally, Verbeek gets rid of it and comes down. But where's the penalty before that? Come on. I mean, that's like turning a deaf ear to a situation because the Flyers are already down a man. There's a good save by LaForest on Mark Johnson. get serious. Well, Don Koharski was calling a great game. I don't know what his problem was on that one. He had to see Doug Crossman holy. That's a terrible, terrible call.
Back to Sinisalo. Howe, the prop. At the side, they score! Murray Craven jams it in. Maley with a pass to Shanahan. He couldn't center against Craven. Back of the point, the try by Cirella, deflected, they score! Joe Cirella's shot hit somebody in front. Perhaps David Maley, and it bounces in behind LaForest to tie it at 5.
You know, it's usually the Flyers that people around North America that follow hockey think are the big bad guys with all the penalties, but believe it or not, it's the Devils coming into tonight's game that have more penalty minutes, and 5 Devils have over 100 minutes. Verbeek, Cirella, Wolanin, Danico, and Anderson, Perry Anderson. Flyers only have 2, and guess what? One of them is not Dave Brown. Scott Mellanby and Rick Tocchet are the only 2 Flyers that have over 100 minutes in penalties, while the Devils have 5.
It looks like Tocchet will lead them in penalty minutes for the 4th consecutive year. And Mr. Brown, of course, he had the suspension, the result of his high-sticking incident with Sandstrom.
Boy, Peter Zezel had a great shift. You know, if you get people mad, they do things that you got to watch out for. Watch Verbeek come through here now. He levels Zezel. After this, watch Zezel come back at him. Bingo. He got him again coming back up ice as well. There he is again. I think he took one more run at him in that sequence as well.
Verbeek back for more.
Yeah, Peter took a break there after that little shift. When they were actually losing the hockey games at the beginning of the season. He's back. Oh, it goes right through the webbing of his glove and drops in for a double. It was Shell Samuelson that leveled him with a spear right into the midsection as Sundstrom was coming down just to create a little traffic and a little problem in front of him. Watch the right-hand side of the screen. Oh, man, that... Gee, if I'm not mistaken, I could see a sweater bulge out in the back there. That's, I mean, I'm hurting sitting here watching that. You have to have been speared once to understand how dangerous it is and what it feels like. And there is nothing, absolutely nothing pretty about a play like that. And I'll guarantee you Shell Samuelson wouldn't have speared a North American player that drops the gloves. That's a play against a fellow countryman that you wouldn't see him making against a North American player.
Muller couldn't gather it in. Cirella fires it off the boards.
See that one get away from LaForest? You know Hextall would have stopped that one behind the net.
Mellanby dumps his man. I believe it's Verbeek, and he's down. And now play is halted as Mellanby collided with Verbeek.
You bet he did. You know, Don Koharski wasn't in much of a position to see that one. He was out in the neutral zone when the play was still jammed in along the boards, but Mellanby came crashing into Pat Verbeek.
Got the elbow up in there.
Sure.
We'll see what Koharski has in mind. First, we'll see the play again.
Watch Mellanby. There he is on the right, number 19. Oh, he gets his stick up under Verbeek's shield.
So he made contact with a stick first, and he will go to the penalty box for it.
Boy, can you feel something building in this hockey game?
Very slowly.
I don't know about you, but it seems to be getting more and more tense.
18 seconds.
And the potential for something breaking wide open. Well, there's a call for you. Did you hear that? Scott Mellanby, 5 minutes for high sticking Pat Verbeek. Well, I guess that kind of evens it up for the call against Verbeek in the second period when he came down trying to retaliate against Doug Crossman for having held his stick. Some weird calls in this hockey game.
Yeah, it looked like in the second period Koharski was calling it, trying to call it as tight as he could to keep the sticks down, keep the tension limited as much as he could, but that was his intention. It has now worked here in the third period. Muller leaves it for Verbeek, winds up, he scores! Pat Verbeek rips it by LaForest, and the Devils have retaken the lead with 3:46 to go in the third. Sinisalo, and it worked away. Broughton has it. He's got Verbeek with him cutting out. The lead pass bounces to Pat Verbeek. He shoots into the open net, and Pat Verbeek has a hat trick, and he has iced a victory for the New Jersey Devils. Koharski halts play with 18 seconds to go, and a flyer will be going off.
You bet. Now it's poor Patrick Sundstrom again, this time holding his mouth. He was high-sticked in the face this time. Not quite sure who it was. And it's been an interesting kind of night for Don Koharski.
Now Tocchet and Daneyko want to go.
Sooner or later, it's been building. It's been building.
Verbeek wants a piece of the action. Samuelsson tugs him out of there. Pat Verbeek with 3 goals in this game, and he's still out there battling. Big Shell Samuelsson certainly is the target of a little abuse. Takes a shot at Verbeek. Derek Smith holds on to Muller. Samuelsson.
Well, here we go. Now Sundstrom finally is having words with Samuelsson, and Samuelsson threatening to drop his glove, saying, okay, let's go. He didn't do that when Verbeek was in there. Don Koharski at least has tried to clamp down on the stick fouls tonight, and that's why he has incurred the wrath of both Doug Carpenter and Mike Keenan, and I'm sure he has both of them angry at him right now. Probably more so the Flyers, since they are on the losing end of this score right now, but you know that halfway through this game, it was Doug Carpenter who was upset with them, and there you see Patrick Sundstrom, who is getting a little attention. Tough night.
Sure is. Koharski fighting a losing battle trying to contain the stick work in this one. And as you mentioned, Don is certainly one of the top officials in the league, as evidenced by the fact that he worked Canada Cup games and was highly regarded for his work. Tocchet gets the major for high sticking, and misconduct all around just about, just like the Flyers did. But they score 3 relatively late even strength goals in this game, and now here we go. Bailey grabs Smith. Sorelli's tugging away at center. Now we've got LaForest coming in there. Chevrier will join the tussle. Howe has a hold of Perry Anderson.
There was no question about that. Greg Smith of the Flyers went right after Dave Maley, and it was like, okay, we're going to lose the hockey game, but we're darn sure we're going to win this battle.
Well, the game is over. The Devils have won it 7-5. But the battle perhaps has just begun.
You bet. Look at these guys on the bench waiting to go. It'll be a matter of who gets out there first.
Well, I don't think we're going to see that, because even though the game has ended, I think if they come off, it's a 10-game suspension for the first guy off the bench. They've really toughened on those rules involving possible bench-clearing brawls. Mike Keenan and Doug Carpenter look on. Ron Smith, Doug's assistant, one of his 2 assistants, Bob Hoffmeyer the other one, trying to explain perhaps how that one began. And the linesmen dig to the bottom of the pile to try to pull them apart.
Well, the Flyers are a proud hockey team, and anytime they end up on the losing end of a battle like this, where when those penalties are called by Don Koharski, those majors, it seems to create so much tension on a team and so much adrenaline flow. They're so angry that anger mounts and mounts and mounts. Very often it spills over.
Now the rookie Smith now being challenged by Korn. Howe's trying to keep Perry Anderson out of there. I don't think Mark Howe wants a piece of the rough stuff, but he would like to help keep things quiet if he can. I don't think anyone was able to throw a punch out of all of that.
Boy, little Jerry Gauthier did a pretty good job. He's already gotten big Greg Smith off the ice and headed to the Flyers locker room. So he's been a one-man show, linesman Gerard Gauthier. There's big Jim Korn. Boy, if anybody wants to try on somebody that's a real major league fighter, they can try Jim Korn on for size.